Success.
Was it luck or was it hard work? That's the question.
Was it luck or was it hard work? So good morning, everybody. Welcome to another sensational session of Strike a Chord Live podcast. Man, this past 15 minutes, we've been scrambling. And if that's not perseverance, I don't know what is. We had an incredible guest lined up for us today, Dr. Jonathan Lazar. And he literally called me 5 minutes before we were supposed to start. And he said, I'm so sorry. I have a patient that just called and I have to go. So if that isn't dedication to the craft, I don't know what is. We love Dr. Jonathan, even though we've never seen him face to face or talked. I've just been emailing with him. But man, I'm super excited that we called an audible. We got this thing together. Bruce texted me out of the blue. I said, jump on, let's do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, since it's St. Patrick's Day, and I have some cool stuff about St. Patrick's too, St. Patrick. But what we're going to talk about is success luck or is success preparation, which we weren't prepared today. So good morning, Bruce.
Good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Glad to be on. So Lucky Charms, huh?
Yeah,
Lucky Charms. And Mark, you started off by saying we had an incredible guest lined up, and now we just have Bruce, I guess. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
That's Bruce. No, man, we love Bruce Pulver. He is just always welcome to jump on anytime. And a lot of times I ask him to jump on, and he's so respectful. He's like, nah, you just roll with your guest. I'm good. But we love you, Bruce. Real quick, Nat Banks is here. Nat, we love you, man. He's equipping you for greatness, and he'll be on his show here shortly. But we love you, bro. Thanks for popping in.
Let's go. What does that say? Equipping you for greatness. Yes.
Yeah, Bruce has a cup. All right. So, I read this quote this morning, and I know that Colin has a quote put up, but let's see here to put up. But luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Luck has nothing to do with success. So let's debate that. Let's debate that. I was going to say, I know what Bruce was going to say, but I don't. But Bruce, what is your first thought when that comes to mind?
Yeah, that's a quote that, you think about that in whatever, right? Whether it's baseball, whether it's music, you got to do the work, you got to rehearse. I think that you can't prepare what you've been prepared for, right? So you're working, you're constantly, whittling on yourself or in your faith. And for me, it's God's constantly whittling on me to get me to the place that he wants me to be. And if I stay in that step, then things open up. There's an awareness factor to opportunity. There's awareness factor to you're prepared, and there's a willingness to step in. So, luck to me is, Frank Sinatra song, right? Luck be the lady. Tonight, I don't know. I can't hang on to it just happened. I was lucky. Golfers say I'd rather be lucky than good.
Right.
But, that's a great one. I'll stop there and let you guys, you guys take it. But I think there's a preparation aspect to it all the way.
Yeah, sorry. And I think I've got a delay coming through. So if I talk over anybody, sorry. But I'll tell you that the good thing is that the final video doesn't look delayed. I found the other day. But, I'm not going to harp on our good friend Arthur Harold today. Arthur Harold, people may know, is what Mark and I have affectionately named ChatGPT. So artificial intelligence, we thought it needed a name, and we're going with Arthur Harold. I asked Arthur Harold this morning if luck, to give me some information about luck versus hard work. I'm going to start with the concluding paragraph, and then we'll go from there, because I know a lot of people don't think luck really plays into it, but I'll tell you what Arthur Harold says. Arthur Harold says, ultimately, it's likely a combination of luck and hard work contribute to an individual's success. While luck may provide opportunities, hard work is required to capitalize on those opportunities and turn them into successful outcomes. And so I think, Arthur Harold's talking about luck more as a being in the right place at the right time, if you read the earlier part of its answer. So I think it is a combination of both, but I think ultimately, if you don't work hard, if a person doesn't try hard, outside of maybe someone who's born into a super wealthy family who just has billions and billions and billions of dollars, and that's luck, according to Arthur Harold. That's
I
what
don't
fortune
think that's
is.
luck.
Look, you could be born into a wealthy family, and that's true. But ultimately, if you want to succeed, you're going to have to put in the time. So if I could just put up this one quote, I'm trying my end on technology. And this is by our other favorite quotator, Anonymous.
Our most favorite
Excuse me.
quotator.
Luck always seems to be against the man who depends on it.
Ooh, that's good.
To me, that's a great quote. If you're just depending on luck, if you're just thinking, man, I'm just going to get lucky, or I hope I get lucky this week, I hope I get lucky today, I hope I get lucky this weekend, then, well, that came out the wrong way, but luck always seems to be against the man who depends on it.
Well, so do you think last night that Furman got lucky?
I think Furman would tell you we've worked hard all year for this moment.
Right.
For this moment, and that moment came through. They prepared for it. What do you do at the end of a game if somebody hurls the ball down and you get it? You get it to your shooter and he hits a three-pointer, right? I mean,
Right.
they've prepared for it. It wasn't luck. That's what they would say.
Well, before we let Bruce talk again, let's bring back, I just had a nostalgic memory. This is very cool. So do you remember the national championship with Jimmy V when NC State, that final second when that shot was missed and the guy came up under it and slam dunked and they won? I was running around my house screaming. And the first thing that I did, I called Colin. I remember calling you, and I think I can remember your phone number, but we're not going to get into that. But I called you and we were just screaming about the end of that game. And I mean, that catapulted Jimmy V, I mean, to legend status. And then of course we know what he did in his lifetime when he developed cancer. But real quick, I want to say that Robin Welshons is here. We love you, Robin. Robin was the one that was gracious enough to set us up with Dr. Jonathan. And she called me this morning and said, man, he's got to go to a patient. So we love you, Robin. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, I believe, Colin, that preparation is the key. Let's talk about my real estate business, because I flipped a house across the street from me and I flipped a house next door to me. A lot of people would say that's luck. I don't think so. And Bruce brought in the faith aspect that I love about it. Man, I prayed hardcore for those houses for a long time before they came in. So I think, more than luck leads to success, I believe faith leads to success. I had some answered prayers this week, some really cool stuff, and we can get into that, but I want to let other people talk. But I believe faith is more vital to success than luck. And I'm sure both of you would agree with me on that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to me, and this is just people pouring into me. This isn't like Bruce standing up on some mountain getting this intervention, right? It's like being willing and being available really helps us. It opens our eyes, it gets us, and we're preparing, right? And so, well, as you're chatting through this on that Furman thing, situational preparation, they were rehearsing what happens if. Let's do the 5-second drill, right? Or whatever it is. We get the ball with one shot. They do that so that when that moment presents itself, they can step into it. And I also think on the faith aspect of this, one of the things that I believe is a key factor to that is patience. One of the hardest things for me in faith is being patient. I mean, you may or may not have prayed for those specific houses, but you were certainly transforming yourself into wanting to be more than you had thought you were before. That doesn't mean it was, but into different things, right? From a work scenario to being a solopreneur.
Right.
And yeah, you were preparing for that. And those things came to you so that when they did, you either knew what to do, knew who to go to, knew what you needed to get your questions answered, etc. So I love the last quote. If you depend on luck only, well, yeah, it really doesn't show up when you need it. So I think it's, you can call it luck, but I think there's so many factors. It's easy. That's like the icing, right? But all the stuff that goes in to make the cake is really what gives life its substance.
Yeah, I love that, because you were talking about that I wasn't necessarily praying for those houses, and you're right. At first, I was praying for God, show me who to help in this situation, show me who to serve in my business. And the house across the street the lady just walked over one day and was complaining, I gotta move. I gotta get out of this house. And I was like, well, I do this. And so some people would call that luck, but I was praying for somebody to help. And then that situation arose.
Yeah, but you weren't doing that 6 months prior. If she'd have come
Oh,
home, come across the street 6 months earlier, on whatever time frame that was, right?
right.
You'd
Right.
have been, I know a real estate agent, or hey, boy, I'm sorry about
Right.
that. What can I? We'd have done something to help them.
Right.
You
That's a
were
good point.
preparing for the transformation, so that when it came in, that you
That's
were
a good
able
point.
to respond, take action.
That's a great point. And Colin, do you think Tom Brady was lucky on all those 2-minute drills?
I don't know. Tom Brady makes me mad. But anyway, so yeah, no, he no doubt is not. He prepared, right? He does have some natural ability, obviously, but there's a lot of people who have a natural ability who don't make it in the NFL, right? There are a lot of people who sign the big contract and don't do what Tom Brady did. I mean, at the end of the day, he prepped, he studied, he worked out. He's, he went through drills in his mind. He went through all that stuff. I had something I was going to say, but I totally forgot it. This week has been crazy, so it's funny. Anyway, I'm laughing at myself.
Well, that's okay, because we called an audible this morning, another football reference. I mean, with literally, I mean, I think Bruce texted me with literally 5 minutes to go, and do you want me to hop on? Yes, and then we got the graphic together with literally 30 seconds to go. I mean, so this is also a session on rolling with the changes. Hey man, I remember, Colin, I remember listening to that song by REO Speedwagon in your room, spinning records. Rolling with the changes, like going with it, calling the audible. We could have just canned the whole thing, right? We could have just said, you know what, it's going to be difficult this morning. We'll just catch it on the flip. But no, we said we're going to do this. Mainly from my aspect is because people get something out of it. There's takeaways that Bruce says, there's takeaways that you say, that we're inspiring people, not that we're so great, but simply we're inspiring people by showing up. And, I'm sure there's a Yogi Bear quote on showing up, but 90% of the game is showing up, right? The other 50% is mental.
That's right. Well,
hey, here's another sports quote, and I'm sorry, I'm reading this stuff and I love it. And this is Pele, who recently passed away, obviously, and now I can't. There we go. Pele says, "Success is no accident. Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do." And I like that quote because, we're obviously talking about luck or hard work or luck or coincidence, but, Pele sums it up with all of those points, but then it's also a love of what you're doing, right? It's a love of helping others. It's a love of speaking. It's a love of whatever widget you're working on in life from a business standpoint.
Bruce, I want you to talk about that, and we're not going to get into what's going on with you right now, but let's just comment on that, on what's going on with you personally, whatever you want to share and whatever you don't.
My visual is this. My visual is that I'm a piece of wood, and God has the knife, and He's whittling at me and transforming me into what He wants me to become. And at some time in life, we have to have 2 feet, or a feet in 2 boats, right? We're doing what we need to do to meet our responsibilities, and then there's this thing that's tugging at us, and I've been in that space of the tug. It's like, okay, am I going to listen? And, I'm being prepared. My patience challenge. I'm ready to go. And then not. Then not. And then, but recently, I just think the patience aspect, God preparing me, He's opening things for me to step into, and I refuse to call that luck, because anybody who has reached a level of success and has had some challenges in it, I think would stay on the argument side of, there isn't luck. Things have to come in play. But just back to this, if you didn't know the technology you were using and done the work to know those steps, you wouldn't have been able to change a graphic. You wouldn't have been able to shoot me a link. You wouldn't have been able to kick this thing off, et cetera. So it's moving. You're getting growth. Your community's growing. not by accident.
Ooh.
And what happens is not everybody sees the work, right? It's like the duck on the pond who's just gliding on the top, but the legs are moving like crazy under the water. Nobody sees that.
Right.
So I kind of think it like that. And if we have a minute, we'll do it kind of towards the end. This kind of ties into the word I wrote today. How does that work? That's just luck. I don't know. But I'm consistently doing this writing and sharing it with you guys. And there's usually a way to tie that in. And today's was maybe applies.
Well, and I want to just qualify something. Then I want to say another quote, and then I want to tell a story. I'll make it fast. But a lot of times when we're on here speaking about our faith, or if I'm putting things out on Facebook about my faith in God and things like that, I hover at 5,000 friends, and I need to figure out how to make the business page so that I can go beyond that. But I just haven't done that yet. But I hover at 5,000 friends, and I can see when I put out a post about God, I lose 5 to 10, right? And I can see on here on the live, when we start talking about faith in God, I can see them lose. But that's not the important part. The important part is that we're doing our job, right? We're professing our faith, and that there are people on here that are receiving it. So I always want to qualify that we're not stopping this. We're going to do this. I mean, Colin's dad baptized me. I've said that 100 times on the session. Bruce and I talk every day about this stuff. But this is a great quote that when Bruce was talking, it struck a chord with me, and I looked it up. But luck is just a myth that we create to justify our lack of faith in ourselves and God. Boom.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. We've created luck because maybe there's doubt that God had anything to do with it. Maybe there's doubt that prep had anything to do with it. But that quote obviously is about spirituality and God and relationship with God. But that is interesting. So we humans, as we do, we just created luck as a concept, as a word, right?
Well, and as we're all into sports. I mean, think about how superstitious ball players are. I mean, like Wade Boggs ate chicken every night before he played baseball. Can you imagine that? So 100 and some odd days a year, he ate chicken every day. And then, he threw the pebbles across the line. He didn't step on the line. He did the thing. I mean, how about Al Roboski? We loved the Mad Hungarian, didn't we, Colin? I mean,
Al Roboski is one of my greatest memories, just watching that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. We would intentionally go to Fulton County, Bruce, which I know you're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
We would intentionally go when Al Roboski was pitching, so we could see the Mad Hungarian when he was with the Braves. But I'm going to tell a quick story that has nothing to do with any of this except for faith. Yesterday, Morgan and I, my daughter and I, were eating brunch at a restaurant. And I did my typical thing of I asked this girl if she'd been told this woman, if she'd been loved yet. And she said, no, but you can tell me. And I told her I love you. And she said, thanks so much. I love that. And then as we were eating, I just was getting these thoughts like to tell her these things. Right. And I'm going, this is weird. This is odd. This has never happened to me before. And so at the end of the meal, she was giving us our ticket. And I said, I was like, are you a believer? And I said, I've never done this before. I've never really, witnessed anybody or anything like that. But are you a believer? And she said, yeah, my dad's a pastor. And I said, okay, get ready for this, because God is telling me to tell you that he's been with you when you've been alone and crying in the dark. And she just went, and I said, he wants you to know he was with you that whole time. And I'm saying, and he's talking about a big dream. Do you have a big dream? And she's like, yes. And I was like, okay, God's telling me it's time to act on that big dream, that you need to move forward, that what you're doing right now, even though you're great at serving, and I'm gonna give you a big tip, this isn't what you were put on this planet to do. And she was tearing up. She's like, I've got chills. And that was the first time that ever happened to me, to where I received a download to be able to tell somebody that. But it was this conduit, right? This thing coming down that I just couldn't deny, just like somebody did to me when they told me that I needed to step out in my big dream. So it has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with faith and being tapped into our maker.
Yeah. And Bruce, that's great. Marcus, thanks. Bruce, did you say the word a minute ago? Like it broke up and I didn't hear it. Or are we going to talk?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear the word. I'd love to hear it, and then go through it, and then we can, play off that.
Yeah. And I know, keep an eye on the time here, just trying to make it as quick as I can. Well, yesterday I had the opportunity to join the Georgia State Golf Association and their adaptive golf program, which is basically for folks with special needs and recovering, and, amputees and paralyzed. Think about it: traumatic brain injury, spinal. at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. I went down and joined that group, and it was so amazing to see folks come into the gymnasium, see all this sort of equipment set up to help them, and to see them just take a small action. And it went, and I got some videos of folks going from just sitting in their chair and taking and hitting a ball off of a big tee into a net, and the smile on their face and everything. And so I've written the word action several times, right? It has I act on in it, right? It's just that efficient. But this morning, and I think it ties a little bit to this luck thing and this preparation thing we talked about, I actually wrote the word fraction because it has action in it, but it's like a little step, right? So I just wrote it vertically. I said a big impact that can be made by a small fraction. So the F was first, you got to make a move, right? If you want luck, I think you've got to step into what that thing is you want to enter your life, whatever that thing is, money, health, relationships, etc. So the F is first, make a move. The R is reaching for a new, right? We have to be comfortable being new at something all the time. So if you want to, like Marcus, right? Real estate, that was brand new for you. Boom, you are now greater at that than you were the day you started. So reaching for a new, you got to be in that place. And then the action part after fraction is all it takes is a small step. I saw Caitlin, she in a wheelchair. She said, I never played golf, but I did play some softball. So they got it set up, and sure enough, she took a golf club with one hand, and you can't really see this here. I'll see and just turned like she did hitting a softball and hit this ball off a tee and just cracked it. It's that sound that the pros make. We were like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. But that's what she did. She took a small step. The C is can even be an ask for help. Your first step might be, I don't know how. Who do I know that does? Would you be willing to advise me? Right? Ooh. You don't have to be an expert at it. Just find where you go. Okay. So then the T then is, and I can't take credit for this. The University of Iowa coach, I think, is who said this. The boats won't row themselves. You've got to start, right? You've got to put the paddles in. You got to put the oars on. You got to get in the boat. The I is incremental, consistent work. You don't have to drive in your car, Marcus, for 7 hours around your city every single day. I mean, You got a minute here, you're going to go down here. Hey, I'll turn down this street. Whatever you're thinking, yours is in the real estate world, right? So just the incremental consistency. The O is one step, then another. Like if you want to do 75 hard, like Nat Banks just killed it in all three phases, he was taking one step at a time each day. The N then is never stopping, everlasting. Like it's consistent. You've got to do a little bit every day. And then the S in fraction, I actually put an S for fractions, is C fraction is an action, just a little bit. And then your luck can change. It's not going to happen overnight. But Michael Jordan, right? Missed 3,000 shots, whatever, lost 3,000 games. You can go, and he said, I succeeded because I failed. So I don't know. That's what I kind of came up with fractions today.
Yeah. So the I was incremental, right?
Yes. Incremental, consistent work.
So to me, that was I love it. And that was the most impactful to me, because the incremental work, the incremental actions, the incremental taking a left here to go check something out, taking a right here to go check something out. That in and of itself to me means it's not luck. It's other things that get you there. It's decisions, choices, waking up, moving forward, if you have 30 minutes downtime, working on something specific. That's not quote unquote luck to me. That is taking advantage of a situation you're in, deciding you're going to do something and moving forward.
Well, we often quote you, Bruce, on the incremental steps. We often, I don't know how often you go back and watch us, but we often talk about, setting up your jogging clothes on the end of the bed and walking to the mailbox. And then walking from the mailbox to the neighbor's mail. We often quote you in that aspect. So yeah, I mean, we know luck has nothing to do with it. I think it more has to do with the incremental steps. And then of course the faith that we talked about, the faith that you can walk from your driveway to the mailbox and from one mailbox to the next, that belief in yourself that you can do that thing that you've always dreamed of doing. And I believe that's where a lot of people unfortunately quit. because they don't have enough faith in themselves that they can walk to the mailbox. I mean, how many transformations have we seen where somebody couldn't walk or was overweight or something like that? I saw something last night that I don't know the actress's name, but the Eastern Indian Mindy actress who, you know, I saw, I was like, oh my gosh, she's a massive transformation. She lost a lot of weight. You know, that took a lot of work, but that took belief in herself that she could do that, right? I mean, I never thought that I'd be able to run a 15K, but I worked towards it, you know, and I'm on the fence about running a 10K or a 5K on Saturday. So because it's in East Hill, Colin, there's a bunch of hills there. So I think the 10K may be a little bit too much to bite off.
You can always walk a little bit. You know, it doesn't have to just be running. You can walk a little bit.
Wait, let's talk about incremental here. You're not running a 10K. You've already committed. You've already committed to do a 5K. You're just doing 5 more.
Right.
Yeah. Doing 2 5Ks. Just do 2 5Ks.
Yep. No, I mean, I run 10Ks around here all the time, but Bruce, there's some massive hills, but it's just an excuse, right? It's a mind thing. Can you do it? Right. And so now I'll go run that 10K and I'll show you my medal on Sunday.
You know, the thing about, we all get charged up about making it happen, right? Go out there and make it happen. I think there's some aspect to all of this that you have to be willing to let it happen. And the letting it happen begins with incremental work. It begins with having the patience to say, I'm going to take this step and the next step and the next step. And I struggle with it too. I want it now, right? I want more than I want, and I want it now. But the patience aspect and being able to say, sometimes you have to let that, you almost have to let go of the grip. You have to kind of loosen and as opposed to forcing. I think a lot of things can happen because it opens your mind. It opens your way to think about other avenues. Instead of going through the wall, maybe there's a way to go around it. And if you loosen up and you don't try to just force it, you have the opportunity to maybe see things that might present an opportunity. Man, I was lucky that I wasn't pounding through that wall. I took a left-hand turn and boom, there was someone that I could help. It was someone that I could serve.
Well, something that you just said struck a chord to me, and you know, I'm a big Grateful Dead fan. There's a song called "The Music Never Stopped," and there's a line in it: "People joining hand in hand, let the music play the band."
Yeah.
I mean, come on, right? As a musician, you know, let the music play the band. And so, what you were saying, let it happen. It's true. It's allow the flow, right? Allow the motivation to carry you forward. So, Colin, there's so many of your TikTok clips in here today.
What's that?
There's so many.
Yeah, man, I mean, the thing is we've got so many TikToks and YouTube shorts and Instagram. We can't get to them all because especially when we have great guests like Bruce Pulver, Above the Chatter. Our words matter. I always forget if it's our words matter or your words matter.
They do.
It's ours. Yeah. Our words. Yeah,
our words. Hey, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, shallow men believe in luck or in circumstance. Strong men believe in cause and effect. And I think that's what we're talking about. The cause and effect is preparing over time, getting ready. Yeah. You don't know, the patience, the waiting, the whatever the case may be. That's all, you're doing things along the way to get ready for what happens to you today.
Yeah. So good. Well, before we close, I just want to talk about St. Patrick real quick. I don't know if you guys know, but St. Patrick is known as the Apostle of Ireland, right? So when he was a teenager, he was captured from Britain and carried to Ireland, and he was a slave for a long time. And so through his faith, the way he got through it was to pray in all the situations. So this is a quote from, he said, "I would pray all the time, right through the day. More and more, the love of God and fear of him grew stronger within me. And as my faith grew, so did the Spirit. The Spirit became more and more active, so that in a single day, I would say as many as 100 prayers, and at night, only slightly less. Although I might be staying in a forest or out on a mountainside, it would be the same. Even before dawn broke, I would be aroused to pray. In snow, in frost, in rain, I would hardly notice the discomfort, and I was never slack, but always full of energy. It is clear to me now that this was due to the fervor of the Spirit within me." Boom. I mean, just so strong. And then so Patrick himself escaped, and in prayer, he saw a vision of a ship. And then later that very ship came to carry him home. He went back home to Great Britain and then had another vision that he had to go back and save all those folks that he was with in slavery in Ireland. So that's a quick little tidbit on St. Patrick. We all always think of the Lucky Charm elf and the pot of gold and all those things and drinking. And, you know, the McGuire St. Patrick run just happened, Colin. And I'll never do that because I love McGuire's. I love Billy Martin and the family. They're big supporters of White Tie Rock Ensemble, but that is just a party. It's not a run, you know? So a lot of people, I believe, I didn't know this about St. Patrick. They lose the meaning of St. Patrick's Day now because it's about luck of the Irish and getting hammered pants and all that good stuff during St. Patrick's Day.
And pinching other people if they don't have green on. And it looks like we've covered the green category, right? It looks like everybody did. Right. And I've got my, just in honor of the tournament that started this week, I've got my Baylor Bear National Champions hat. Now, I know it's been a couple years.
Hey,
wear a reminder, Baylor is up there in the elites of basketball, and this hat is green. Whether you can,
that's your alma mater, bro. You know,
what's that?
That's your alma mater. You got to be proud.
Yes, absolutely.
So you had Princeton and Furman. Who would have thunk it?
Unbelievable.
Well, I hope UC Santa Barbara doesn't have that kind of luck today against Baylor, but we'll see.
Hey, speaking of luck, just wrote it for you guys. Want to do luck?
Yeah, let's do luck.
Let's prepare. Use our gifts. Can't happen by itself. Keep expecting the best. Luck.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't either, man.
If you would have seen us scrambling to correct a couple of things before we launched this, you would understand what we would look like right now if we were trying to come up with that. I mean, it would just be panic and typing and maybe a couple of cuss words. I don't know.
Well, man, does anybody have anything to close before? I mean, that acrostic probably is it, right, Colin?
Yeah, that's good. That's
all
great.
Right.
And thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Thank you for helping us out this morning.
Great to be with you guys as always.
Yeah, man, we love you, brother. You can always come back anytime, whether we have a guest or not. For those of you who are just jumping on, Bruce was not scheduled to be here this morning. We were scheduled to have Dr. Jonathan Lazar out of Michigan, but within 5 minutes of going live, he had a patient with Parkinson's that needed his help. And of course, he did the right thing and went to be with his patient where he is now. We'll have Dr. Jonathan back on. But I texted Bruce. We were just talking. I was like, about to go live. Our guest canceled. Not asking Bruce to be here, but he graciously offered. And we're so grateful for you. Thank you so much, brother.
Hey, yeah, thank you. And Mark, one thing that we didn't say earlier, we probably need to again start saying earlier, is the replay. If you catch us on the replay, yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Or if you're catching this on the pod, which will be released probably on Monday, thank you.
Well, yeah, and we value, you know, all of our live listeners, of course, and we value everybody on the replay. We would like to shamelessly plug, we're making the effort of directing people to our YouTube page. So it's up there, youtube.com/@strikeachord podcast. If you would please go to YouTube and follow us, we would certainly appreciate it. We're building that page over there. And channel, that's it. And Peggy Gossman said, so glad to see you, Bruce. I know Peggy and Bruce have connected. So we love you, Peggy. We love you, Andy Strebel. We love you, Ryan Little. Good to see you guys. We're out. Peace and chicken grease. We will see you back here on Wednesday with another sensational session of Strike a Chord live podcast. Have a wonderful day. We love you guys.